Thomas, it's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it! Well,
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
champions.
Smooth.
Good evening. Welcome. I know, man, it's a dodgy start. Welcome, everybody.
Man.
This is a very special podcast that we're doing this week because this show is broadcasting same time through Moh's channel and Arsenal Lounge channel. So if you're on Moh's channel and you're seeing this and you're thinking, what's going on? This is the show that we do every Monday night at 8 o'clock over an Arsenal Lounge. And going forward, once a month, we're going to be doing this on Moh's channel. And if Tom wants to get in on it as well, so he doesn't feel left out or jealous, that's fine, no problem. We can talk about that. But that's what's happening today. So if you are on Moh's channel and you've seen this is coming up, this is what's happening. And we're very grateful for the opportunity, Moh, that you're giving us to broadcast this through your channel, man. Much appreciated.
Listen, I'm grateful as well. I really, really enjoy doing this pod with you guys. I feel like we've got like a good mix, a good balance, good chemistry. We have a laugh. We take the mick out of you, which is great. So I wanted like the people that subscribe to my channel to see something that maybe they wouldn't usually see because obviously it's over on the Arsenal Lounge.
Does that mean we have to go at him extra just for your channel?
Yeah. That's what I do.
Brilliant.
That's what I do on my channel.
I can't wait.
Wait, is Divan available on your channel? Is he actually unblocked on your
He might
channel?
be blocked there as well.
Listen, for those who don't know, this guy called Divan came out and said to Shaheen that, nothing about football tore into him, and Shaheen got properly got his diva crown on and just didn't take any nonsense. Got very sassy on that day. So
he was
never let him
blocked
forget.
straight away. But yeah, so this is what's happening today, and it's getting streamed obviously on both channels. We explained that. Very, very welcome to the show. Tom, how you feeling, man? You good?
Oh, buzzing, mate. Absolutely buzzing. How could you be anything less after what a performance on Sunday? I know we're going to go into a lot of the finer details and stuff, but yeah, just honestly, I'm on top of the world, mate. It's a really long day, as you'd expect, because there was so much to write and talk about media-wise, but it's so worth it. I mean, imagine going into a Monday of them to write about Arsenal after if we'd lost that. So very thankful for the win for sure.
Do you know what? I don't know about you guys, but Tom, because you just mentioned that, like, what does a match day look like for you? If you had to give us like just a high level summary, like how busy are you? What time are you waking up? What time are you going to sleep? What's the pressure like?
Obviously we do it in shifts. So some games I'm working, some games I'm not. So my shift was 2 till 10 p.m. On match day. So chill morning and then straight into it. It's weird because I'm assigned 2 pieces on the match. I have to do one prior to kickoff about the lineup and one that has to go out on the full-time whistle, which is like my fan, because we're the fan brands team. So it's like a fan reaction piece. So you're right. You've got to write like a lineup preview ahead of the lineup and kind of predict what it's going to be. But you've got to have multiple scenarios because it's got to go out as quick as possible. So you know that you're not going to be able to know what the lineup is. So you've got to say like, I had half of my piece was Xhaka was starting, half my pieces that it wasn't. And then thankfully it was revealed that he was doing the media duties, so I could scrap half of that other piece that I was writing and just focus on that. So that's hectic. And then obviously if there's like a 90th minute winner and you've written up your kind of match reaction piece, it's a nightmare because you've then got to rewrite your entire script basically in like 5 to 10 minutes and get it over to your editor in time. It's hectic. And then you just spend the rest of the evening kind of breaking down the key points and writing stories based upon kind of some of the key factors as we talk about on the show. But it's hectic and it's crazy.
It's not all fun and games as some people might think that you just enjoy the game.
No, but it's better than teaching. That's what I'm saying. It's better than teaching.
All right. Fair enough. Lev, my fellow Arsenal lounger, how are you, my friend? I haven't even spoken to you for a while. How are you?
I'll be doing things on my own. You're not speaking to me. Sorry, this big show comes along. You want to talk, but there's this song that keeps going around in my head. I just can't. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. I'm fucking buzzing. That's all I gotta say, really. That's all I want.
I'm glad to see this is the first podcast we're doing that we're all buzzing. We're good. We're happy. There's not a lot to moan about. It will be mainly positives, and it's good. That's what we like. That's how we want it to be. So,
Mo, Shaheen, can I just ask very quickly, who predicted 3 wins out of 3?
I did.
No, you fucking didn't. Who went for 9 points? The closest other one was Tom with 7. I went 9.
But that's not fair because you always go for the best outcome possible for Arsenal.
What did I say?
Yes, you do.
Why did you have
4?
I said 3 points out of the next. Well, 3 points every game for the next 3 games. 9 points. I got 9 points. Give me some credit, Shaheen.
You only went for 9 because I went for 7, and you went, I'll go for 9 then. That's what you did.
Tom. It was educated. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, of course. Let me just, before I start things up, we've got a super chat from Cliff. $4.99. Thank you for your super chat, Cliff. Super chats are always very, very welcome. I told you last week, Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka, about knew what it meant to beat Charlotte Hart Lane, get in. But Cliff is happy about this as well. On that note, Mo, what did you think of the game?
Listen, man, I was shocked. I really was. It fully surpassed any expectation I had for the game. I just did not see Arsenal playing with that level of swagger. Because when you look at the Norwich game, you think, fine, we won, we dug it out, but we didn't play well. The performance wasn't there to go with the result. And on that day, our final pass was there, but our finishing absolutely wasn't. Then you go over to Burnley. And again, performance better than Norwich, but not a performance where you'd really say, yeah, it was a really good performance to go with the result. And on that occasion, the final pass wasn't there. It wasn't that our finishing was really bad. It's just that the final ball just wasn't there. Today, I did not expect everything to just fall into place and to work out, because going forward, there looked like there was so much conviction and so much confidence in the play. I was just expectant every single time that we were attacking Tottenham. It looks like something's going to happen. It looks like we know what we're doing and it's coming very naturally. And that is the difference. And I don't know what the reason is. Sometimes you can just have a good day. Sometimes things just feel good, or you're more pumped for the game, or maybe it's the crowd that's getting you going. Other times, it's just things just work for you, and then you build on that within the game. Or alternatively, maybe it was just that Tottenham were just really, really poor, sort of tactically. And I feel like they did leave a lot of open spaces where Odegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe were able to just slip into pockets repeatedly over and over again. And I feel like the Tottenham team were almost, perhaps didn't show them enough respect and were being a bit too eager to get in front of them, expecting to get the ball. And it just didn't work for them. But Odegaard, Smith-Rowe, Xhaka, the lot of them really took advantage and were electric.
Okay. That's very good that you say that, because we will come to these guys later on. Lev, what did you think, my son?
Well, Dad. Listen, Mo's pretty much.
Sorry, Lev. If he calls you son, you've got to call him Tomiyasu.
Yeah? Leave it out, Mo.
That's who Dad is.
That's not one thing that would go, man.
I don't know where we're going with this, but anyway. We just stick to what we're talking about now. If that's okay, Mo. Yeah. But look, no, it was amazing. I mean, Mo's pretty much said everything I wanted to say, in the sense of the team. We were saying the previous 2 matches, although it was the Norwich and Burnley respectively, that the team was starting to look like it made sense on the field, the way he was putting them out, and it's probably because of who he's got available now. You got Gabriel and White were extremely aggressive. I like the way they defend. They're aggressive. Tomiyasu's aggressive. Tierney's aggressive. They all want to win the ball. But then that gave us the platform and the foundation for the likes of Partey to dominate that midfield. And I think it was the other show I did, a preview with Lily White's TV, Eleanor. She actually made me feel very confident leading up to the game, because when we discussed the team, I started to look at that Spurs team and think their midfield is extremely weak. I mean, outside of Ndombele and, who I don't rate anyway. And then you got Højbjerg, who's their main sort of stalwart midfielder. Who else was there? Dele Alli was non-existent. And I started to think, hold on, then their centre-backs, the partnership's gone, and we just looked like we were tearing him to shreds. And she also said they were sitting a low block, and they did. They sat back with us and were looking to counter us. And it didn't look like they were doing anything. They gave up possession. We dominated. And like Mo said, what really impressed me yesterday is we actually looked like we were interlinking up front, and we were getting in behind and making runs and expecting the pass, and they were getting the passes. So, mate, I'm buzzing at that performance. Whether or not, it's because Spurs were that bad or we were that good in the first half remains to be seen. But there's no doubt that this particular side we've got currently to the ones we saw prior to the start of the season is a far better, stronger team. So I'm happy, mate. That's all I've got to say right now.
Very good. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, as I say, I'm buzzing. It's the last few weeks, I think, on the show, we've been talking about wins, Burnley and Norwich. Obviously, results, fantastic, but it's what we need to see as a performance along the side, those results. And that's what we got. We got the patterns, we got the style, we got the incisiveness. It wasn't one-dimensional. We were breaking through centrally and in the wide areas as well, and there was variation to our play. And that's all I've wanted to see. I'm all for, being as trying to be level-headed as feasibly possible. And that school of thought led me down the route of going, I'm not really sure if I'm, on the Arteta train, especially after that Villarreal defeat and the period from that game up until basically Manchester City, when we lost 5-0. I looked at those performances in that period of time and I can't sit here and legitimately say things are going well. Like, it's the right decision to be backing the coach right now. But you look at the results against Burnley and Norwich, you look at the performance against Spurs, and it's something that I can get on board with. It's something that I've got tangible evidence to say that coaching, his tactics, the players that he wanted to sign have all clicked and they're all working. The only question left now is consistency. And can we consistently put in those performances and have that consistent style in games? And if the answer is yes, then I will happily jump back on the Arteta train without a shadow of a doubt. But it is now about that consistency, and that's what we need to see.
Very good, and I agree. And we've got a super chat from Wayne. Good old Wayne.
I met him on the show the other day, by the way. He came he came on the live fan cam.
Sorry, man, I couldn't make that show.
No, nice guy.
He's asking me basically, how does Edu's signing look? Listen, there is nothing I would want more than to be proven wrong and have to eat my words, basically, right? I would love that. But based on Burnley and Tottenham game, right, they look all right, especially the right back, but we have to judge them over a season, not 1 or 2 games, right? And yesterday, for me, it was everything that I hoped for, but I wasn't expecting this. So I hoped for Arsenal to come out and, fast start, put it on Tottenham, get an early goal. That's what I hoped for, but I was not expecting to see that. Team looked drilled. They looked, we looked good. As you guys said, there was patterns all over the pitch. We defended well. It was less worrying moments than previously, which is good. And it was a very, very good performance. You have to give manager the credit. We criticize him here, and we'll give him credit now, then he deserves it. There's no chance. I think any of us are unhappy with what we saw. And as Tom said perfectly, which was exactly what I was going to say, it's all about whether we can keep this up, because this is now what is required. So he's shown us that he can get this out of a team, and the team are capable of performing. Whether we can get this every week, that is the main question. We were doing this. Sorry,
I wanted to ask you, because going to Wayne's question, I was thinking this myself earlier, so I wanted to ask the three of you. Yeah, we've seen players in the past come in, do really, really well for a club, for Arsenal, for any other club, and then you look back and they're kind of just a nothing player, and you think, wow, they started like a house on fire. So if you're being around football long enough, you get experience to know you can't judge a player too soon. Now, Marouane Chamakh, for me, is the perfect example of that. He started like a house on fire, got so many goals, but now I look at Takehiro Tomiyasu, and I think to myself, whilst I was never convinced by Shamak, and I wasn't surprised, I know it's early, but I would be really, really surprised if Tomiyasu dropped off a cliff.
Yeah.
He looks brilliant, doesn't he? Or is it just too early? Should we be judging what we've seen already?
Or is it Mo that we've been so used to watching Bellerin for the last 3 seasons? And he looks amazing. But he is really doing well. Trust me.
Let's hold this because I'm gonna come to this, right? Now there's 3 or 4 now talking points that I wanted to discuss about this game. And there's another super chat from Sarfaraz Ahmad. It says, would anyone accept Aaron Ramsey to replace Xhaka? Lev? Mo says no.
No.
Tom, so you got 4 no's, my friend. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Ramsey's obviously a better player than Xhaka, but people are saying that about Sanchez as well. I don't want to go back to players that have left. I don't think that's a good way of progressing. So that's why I'd say no.
There's first talking point, if you guys remember, about 3 weeks ago, we discussed Arsenal's next 3 fixtures, which was Norwich, Burnley, and Tottenham. And we all agreed that the minimum is 9 points. And the manager has delivered that. So the first question is, can we turn around and say we're now beginning to turn a corner? Or no, we still got to wait and see, maybe because we've got Brighton away and then we've got relatively easy fixtures coming up, and then we've got, I think, Liverpool away. So that's one question. The other talking points that we discussed was whether Xhaka would come into the team. And I think we all agreed that he would come back to the team. And how do you guys feel about that decision? Was that the right decision looking back on it now? Because he did okay. And the last one, which was the more interesting one, was the goalkeeping situation. That Ramsdale has kept his place. And that surely that is an indication that Leno's days are possibly numbered at Arsenal, and he will be sold whether it's January or next transfer window. So, Lev, I'll come to you. Tell me your thoughts on these 3 talking points.
So the first one was, run me through. So the first one
was, have we turned the corner?
Hold it there. First one, have we turned the corner? No, not yet. Right? Because let's be real. What is the point in winning these 3 games and then going and losing to Brighton, or this particular game against Spurs and then going and losing to Brighton? We need to continue. The only way I'm going to say we've turned the corner is if by December, we're right up in amongst it. Tucked away in that sort of top 6 or whatever, then I'll start to say maybe we've turned the corner.
All right. And what's your thoughts on manager now?
Same as it was before. The one thing I will say is he said, wait until I got the players back. So now he's got his players back. So let's see what he can do. But am I convinced yet? No, not yet. But I want him to prove me wrong.
Okay. The other point was Xhaka.
What about him?
That proved to be a right decision. And
listen, we won the game and he played well. So you can't argue his decision. Would I have done it? Probably not. And it's looking like, ironically, that he's going to be out for the next few games now. That injury looked pretty bad to me. I think he's probably done maybe even like something like an ACL or something. So I would have probably gone with Lokonga, but you can't say it was a wrong decision because we got the result and he played well. So yesterday, I have to give my props to Arteta. He got it right, and you have to give credit when it's deserved.
And the last one was the keeper situation.
Ramsdale, I love Ramsdale. I love you. Listen, you can already see it's not just his goalkeeping capabilities; it's the rapport he has with the defense and that sort. You could see that there's some sort of synergy between them and a hunger to keep the ball out of the net. And he seems to get at his players as well. So Ramsdale is 100% number 1 for me right now. And, you know, it doesn't surprise me. We paid 34 million for him or whatever. He was always going to be number 1.
Okay. Mo, what about you? What's your thoughts on these 3 talking points?
All right. So the first one is, have we turned a corner? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we've started to. That's what I would say. We're kind of walking around it. But, you know, I'm more, if Lev is saying no, I'm more on the no than I am that we've turned the corner. The way I see it, we've just sort of repaired the damage that we caused at the start of the season with those 3 games. We've just kind of said, all right, fine. We've given you enough. We've shown you enough to say, actually, that's not our level. Don't judge us on those 3 games. We are capable of being a lot better than that. And now we do need to go and see us properly perform. The thing is, you also have to say about derbies, we always say this, right? That form goes out the window to an extent with derbies. So they give their own motivation. They give their own kind of sort of special feeling. I think Brighton away, looking at it now, is going to be a really interesting game because they are flying, really flying. So let's see what we go and do there. And then I think if we go and put a performance and result, and I'll keep on mentioning this today because this is the first time we've done that this season. It's taken us 6 games to have a performance and result go hand in hand. So what I'm looking for now, when we beat Norwich, I said, it doesn't matter. We just needed to win. Now we have to go and build on it. Slightly better against Burnley. I was like, fine, it's not a problem. Tough place to go away from home. Now we need to go and properly build on it. And each time we've gone up a little bit. This is the standard now, this result and performance against Tottenham. Let's go and do that against Brighton as well. And then we can turn around and start saying, okay, yeah, let's talk about that whole turning a corner thing. Now, in terms of
Xhaka,
look, this would be a long conversation. For me, you don't say whether it was the right thing to do based on hindsight. This isn't a case of, it's like you can't toss a coin and then be like, oh, I was right to say tails just because the coin landed on tails sort of thing, because that way it's too easy as a fan to just talk about things in hindsight. You have to make a decision at a point in time based on the information you have available at that point in time. For me, that Xhaka call wasn't the best call Arteta could have made, though I accept that it wasn't necessarily a wrong call. When I saw that is what I expected, and I wasn't up in arms about it. I understood why he was doing it. So there were various reasons that made me think, okay, but we need to move away from things being absolutely binary, that wrong or right. There's a lot of grey area in between. And look, that's what you're going to get here at the Arsenal Lounge. We're not going to be like ranting, raving, shouting, swearing, and we're not idiots. It's going to be more of a thinking person's conversation here. And Lokonga would have bought certain pros that Xhaka wouldn't have bought in terms of maybe a bit more discipline and that sort of thing and reliability based on what we've seen. But also he brings some cons as well. He doesn't have the experience that Granit Xhaka does. So there was a case for both of them. I would not have been on Arteta's case had Xhaka made a mistake necessarily in that game. I would have given him some stick, but I wouldn't have been like, oh, he's a clueless manager, because I can see why he did it. And we all said, didn't we, in our last pod, that, yeah, we don't think they're going to play the same midfield that they played against Burnley, and we think that Xhaka will come back in. So we obviously saw a reason or some rationale as to why that might be the case. So I wouldn't have made the decision, but I'm really, really happy it worked, not only for Arteta, but for Xhaka. Because when you look at, which goal was it?
Second goal, I think, where he won the ball back.
The second goal. Ramsdale, that's the next topic you asked for. He's going to get a lot of praise. But that pass out in the build-up to that goal was bloody awful. And actually, if Xhaka didn't do as well as he did, that could have been the Tottenham goal, because it really was shocking. Xhaka was brilliant in that moment. It's in those moments where Xhaka is at his worst often. But he kept his head. He didn't lunge. He didn't do anything silly. He did just enough to avoid giving away a foul in a really dangerous position and potentially getting a yellow card, red card, whatever, but also retaining possession. And then he did the simple thing afterwards. And I was actually really, really happy with him, because it was a big game for him, given the nature of Arteta's decision on him. And that moment was crucial. And for me, it went very unnoticed. I didn't see him get any praise for that. And he deserved the praise, because obviously what happened afterwards was a lot more eye-catching. But it could have been a completely different story if he didn't do what he did. And Ramsdale, listen, he's the number one now. Simple as that.
Okay. Just before I come to Tom, there is around 230 people watching. So please, guys, hit the like button. Tom said it earlier. If you're enjoying the show, hit the like. If you're not enjoying the show, still hit the like. Make sure you subscribe, obviously, to Arsenal Lounge, to Moh Haider's channel, to Tom, the Goonertalk TV. This is a podcast that we do every Monday at 8 o'clock. So if you like this show, if you enjoy the conversation. And as Mo said, we try to keep it intelligent. We try to, just go on about things from a logical point of view. Then Mondays at 8 o'clock, make sure you tune in Arsenal Lounge, Mo's channel, and then we'll go from there. Tom, what about you? What was your thoughts?
If we turn the corner, I agree with the boys. I think it's kind of the start of that corner. As I talked about at the start of the show, I want to see consistency. Consistency is going to be king for this. If we can go to Brighton and put in another great display, we've taken that next step. If we can do that against Palace and then Villa, you're then continuing those steps forward. There is going to be a lot to do with a little bit of luck, and the luck will come with fitness of players, like having Gabriel back, Partey back, having Xhaka on the right-hand side, being able to play pretty much our entire 11 is so helpful. I can't remember a time really consistently where Arsenal have been able to play their best team going forwards. Linking it into your second point and asking about Granit Xhaka, the challenge is now is that performance came with Granit Xhaka in the team. No matter whether we wanted to see Granit Xhaka in the team, that great display with the patterns and the style that we've been asking for included Granit Xhaka. So the question for Brighton will be, does Arteta just slot Sambi Lokonga in for Xhaka and then go from there, and can he do that same job? Or does he look at what happened against Burnley with how we did really well with the two number 8s in front of Thomas Partey, of Ødegaard and Smith Rowe, and do we revert to that again? And those decisions are going to feed into that first point of have we turned a corner, because it's how Arteta tackles and approaches those challenges that he's going to be facing in the coming weeks. On Xhaka, I ironically did that classic journalist thing of writing a piece criticising the decision to play Xhaka that went out as the team was announced. And of course, after the game, I got a lot of a bit of a bollocking from people telling me, well, you were wrong.
Man.
And the next day, I wrote unashamedly an apology to Granit Xhaka as an article saying, look, I hold my hands up. I got it absolutely wrong. And I feel it's a bit of a duty to hold your hands up when you get something wrong and admit it, especially when it's to the benefit of Arsenal Football Club. I'm delighted when I'm wrong if it benefits the team. So I was more than happy to do that. And then the last point on Ramsdale, I'm loving him, mate. I think he's just a breath of fresh air for Arsenal for a goalkeeper. Someone that can shot stop, that can also distribute the ball really well, that gives the defenders that confidence that I've talked about for a number of weeks, and that just doesn't take any shit, basically. It's great. I love the fact he doesn't take anything for the defence. Go on, Mo.
Tom, I want to ask you, you're kind of being very magnanimous there and saying I was wrong and I wrote the apology and all that. It's very nice of you to say that. But in actual fact, are you wrong? Were you wrong?
Well, the headline of the article was Mikel Arteta's team selection risks stopping the team progressing and dividing the fan base. And I mean, it arguably no, arguably that selection did risk dividing the fan base more. It did risk stopping the progression if, say, Xhaka had done what we have seen him do several times. So whilst I didn't think it was unfounded, I'm happy to say that I was wrong about, that prediction.
The thing is, Granit Xhaka, in the majority of games that he has played, and this is true of any professional, does more right than wrong. Yeah? None of us think that he's making a mistake more often than doing something correctly. But the point is, at this level, for a player, we expect them not to make as many mistakes as Xhaka does. So he might play 5 or 6 games and make one really bad error of judgment in one of those games. The point is that even though he'll play 5 games where he's fine and then 1 game where he does something silly, it's just that level of silliness that we deem unacceptable. So on that basis, you can always turn around and say, oh, Tom, you were wrong, 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 you were right. But it's that 1 out of 6 that is not good enough at this level. Do you see what I'm saying here?
I think 1 out of 6 is probably understating, the amount of times Xhaka's probably thrown us under the bus with some of the things that he's done. The thing about him is that I don't think there's anything wrong with what I said in the sense of it was a risk for Arteta to put him back into the team. And I don't think it was necessarily me holding my hands up and saying I was wrong to say it was a risk. I think it was a wrong to be as worried as I was and as apprehensive as I was about it going to. And really, I should have been more optimistic and looked at it more from the perspective of, when he's had these moments where he's got a red card or he's thrown a goal away, actually he's responded in those moments pretty well. And he did in that game too.
Okay. There's a super chat. I just want to read that out. Moh, we love you here in India. Big up, you guys. So this.
Thank you very much. I can guarantee you one thing. Yeah, out of all four of us, if all of us went to India, Tom will get the most love.
I've been to India before, so yeah, probably. I agree with you guys as well. But I'm more inclined to go with Moh here. That maybe we're beginning to turn a corner. But if we go and lose to Brighton or lose to Palace, then we're kind of back to square one.
I said the same thing, but you only agree with Moh.
Did you?
No, you said. Thing is, Dev, you were like,
no. You said we haven't turned the corner.
Well, so did Moh. Said not quite.
No,
yet.
Moh said we're beginning to turn the corner.
Oh, that's favoritism.
Behave yourself. I'll block you.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, Dev,
I love you, Moh. Love you, Moh.
Listen, we're streaming it through Moh's channel, so we have to be nice.
Dev, let me have something, man. You've got the good looks. You've got the swag. You've got the nice Arsenal plaque in the background. Let me have something.
Shut up, Moh. You've got it all, mate. You got it all. They love you in India as well. They only give us big ups. Remember that, yeah?
Yeah. Well, but listen, there is something about Granit Xhaka, right? That all the managers, whoever comes in, it seems to play him. And I knew if Granit Xhaka is fit, right, he will play. It was clear to me as day that I would have bet on it that Granit Xhaka will start that game. He seems to be injured now, and as Lev said earlier, it seems to be a bad one. So it'll be interesting to see how Arteta moves forward with that problem. And Ramsdale seems to be the number one now. In a way, I think what has happened to Leno is a little bit harsh because he did pull up some really good saves, especially against Chelsea, and then he's dropped just like that. But in the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, if the manager is seeing in training that Ramsdale was better, then I like that from the manager, the ruthlessness that he would say, right, listen, regardless of who you are, what you've done, Ramsdale is going to start. But I do feel sorry for Leno a little bit because, yes, his distribution sometimes is questionable, but over the past few seasons, he has come to Arsenal's rescue quite a few times. Moving forward, there was this thing that I saw in going around in different platforms and so on. So the difference of performance from first half to second half. Why did we take our foot off the pedal and we didn't go for the kill? Also, if it wasn't for a bad Harry Kane miss and a fantastic save by Ramsdale, it could have been 3-0. Because, I think it was Tomiyasu that I think he slipped or he fell when Harry Kane was through. He tried to chip the keeper, but he missed. Is that a valid argument that it could have ended 3-3? Or we just thought, we were 3-0 up, we took it easy a little bit. Tom is smiling, so I'll come to you first.
Look, I think that there are few teams that can go like we did in the first 45 for 90 minutes in the world. I'm not just talking about in the Premier League. It's really difficult to do that for a whole game. And you could have argued that, he could have maybe brought on Pepe or brought on Lokonga earlier for Xhaka and maybe made a couple of tactical tweaks. But I actually think it shows a little bit more of a measure of a manager that goes through 3-0 up in the first half and then manages the second half and actually looks at the second half and says, we could turn the screw here. But when you do turn the screw, there's always that associated risk, as there is if you want to sit back. There's an associated risk with both of those options for you to go for. Spurs brought on a couple of players in the second half as well. They changed their system entirely. Skip came on and Emerson came on for Tanganga. So they were more offensive in that second half. So there was always going to be more of a threat of us getting hit on the counter. And that Harry Kane moment, for instance, happened off the back of one of those moments. So we had to react. I think that the fact that we were able to go 3-0 up in the first half was much down to Nuno getting it absolutely wrong with that 4-3-3. So the fact that they did change meant that us turning the screw and hitting another 3 goals was always going to be a tougher proposition in the second half. I don't think there's anything wrong with us not saying go full tilt. Would I have loved to us to? Sure. But at the same time, I'm happy that we got away with I say got away. We didn't get away with anything. We dominated the game and we deserved to win the game. Absolutely. But I think he just managed the second half, and I'm totally fine with a manager that wants to look at a 3-0 scoreline at halftime and say, look, we're not going to risk too much in this second half, and we're going to guarantee ourselves the 3 points because that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Okay, Mo?
Listen, you guys know after every game, the next day I do a 5 at 5, and just 5 things that I noticed about the game. And my 5th one was that actually, was it closer than we thought in a way? Because on one hand, I won't say that it was close because of them hitting the crossbar, because that was an Aaron Ramsdale save. That's because we've got a good keeper. But when I see Harry Kane, who is a world-class striker, missing very, very simple chances, like the header in the first half from the corner and the one-on-one in the second half, that is down to a bit of luck on our part, because he's not going to do that very regularly. So it was a weird one because, whilst they missed really, really clear chances, the 2 that we've mentioned, I don't remember Arsenal missing obvious chances. So it feels like we converted the chances that we made, but they didn't convert the chances that they made. So on that basis, potentially it could have been 3-3. But then I have to look at it and say, but if it was 3-3, I would feel gutted. And I would be thinking, I don't know how the hell we haven't won that game. Whilst I think Tottenham fans will be looking at that thinking, how the hell have we come out of that game with anything? So, on that basis, it's obviously a good measure, big chances that you have in a game as to how well you've played in that game. But it would have been very, very unfair on Arsenal. So I think that whilst you do have somewhat of a point there, I don't know which way to see it in a way, because I think I have to conclude on the fact that Arsenal deserved the win. And whilst, yes, on big chances created, it might have been close. In every other area, every single other area, it was not close. We slapped them. Simple as that.
And last but not least, Lavanja.
Listen, we 100% deserved that game. End of. I don't care. I think the Harry Kane chance you mentioned was offside. The one that he tried to chip it past the keeper and put it wide. I think that was actually deemed offside, wasn't it?
No,
I think it
don't
was.
So.
I think it was. It was, Mo. You might not have noticed, Mo, because you was at the game, but obviously I was watching it here, so it was offside. I think it's about time that we were more clinical, because we've had games where we've actually created chances and weren't clinical, been wasteful in the final third, maybe not getting chances in front of goal, but that final ball has always been lacking at the start of this season, where you could see a decent pass would put us in. So for once, we were clinical. I think first half we were miles the better team. I am a bit gutted that we dropped off a little bit, to be honest with you, because right now I don't see us as having that capability. We haven't had that capability in a while. Think about the last Arsenal team we've had that's capable of taking their foot off the gas and defending. Do you ever feel comfortable with an Arsenal team taking their foot off the gas and trying to hold the lead? Because I haven't felt that for a long, long time. So personally, I would have liked him to make some changes slightly earlier, maybe bring in Lokonga, take off Xhaka, maybe, make a few other changes and get some fresh legs on Pepe, whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't think performance-wise it wasn't close. That first half, we were way, by far the better team and deserved everything we got. So there is a comment as well I wanted to very quickly respond to.
But the one that says Lev is crying.
Lev was crying about, was it? We didn't get him. I don't remember crying about not getting him as a Royale. I was asking why we hadn't got a right back. As for Ramsdale, I actually stated that he would be playing number 1 if we were getting him, and I don't have a problem with Ramsdale. We just questioned. I think as a channel, we questioned whether that 34 million could have been used better elsewhere. But look, the guy, he's made a brilliant start to the season, and I'm happy we got him. Simple as that. But crying, nah.
Fair dues.
Fair dues. Yeah.
Fair dues. Guys, please hit the like button. Thank you for giving us your time watching this podcast. This is something we do every Monday night at 8 o'clock. I see from the comments, there's quite a few of you that you're quoting things that we said previously, so that it shows that you're coming back to watch us every week, and we're grateful.
Yeah, respect to that.
It's turning into a good podcast, and we're getting regulars that come in to watch us. So please make a note of this every Monday, 8 o'clock. Subscribe to Arsenal Lounge. Moh's channel, Tom, the Goonertalk. Moh, you want to say something?
I want to say, do you know, I love that. I love the fact that people are holding us to account, you know, and
Yes.
please don't think that we mind that at all. If we've said something, if you think we've talked nonsense and you think like we've been proved wrong, call us out on it, because we're here to give you our opinions, right? So then we can't all of a sudden hide in the bushes like Homer Simpson when it comes down to it. And we'll do that to each other as well. It's all part of the fun. Just do it respectfully, and it's all good. And especially if it's Shaheen.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know anything, does he?
It's the love that they have for me, you know. Don't mistake this for anything else.
Big up Jim Fox. Big up, by the way.
Listen, we're going to have about 5-6 minutes at the end where you guys will put your questions to me, Lev, Tom, Moh, and ask us any question you want. We'll put it on the screen. We'll go through as much as we can. If you're watching this show afterwards, obviously we're live now, please write on the comment for us what's your thoughts on if we've turned the corner, your thoughts on Xhaka starting and the situation Ramsdale and Leno. These questions that I'll put to the guys are things that I've seen going around in social media, with Twitter, Instagram today, and we'll bring it up here, we'll discuss it. So we give they're not necessarily my thoughts that I'm asking the guys, just for you guys to know. A lot of people said on the comments, what is your thoughts now on Edu signing? You guys were moaning about the signings. What do you think now? Are you guys going to go back on this?
I think Tom wrote an article on it, didn't he?
Yeah, you know what, Tom? I'll start off with you, and obviously we all have our says. I've said my piece on it earlier, and I'm happy to say it again. But you know, people in the comments said, it's as if, you know, they've done really, really well, and they have. But my personal view is that we can't turn around and say, these are master strokes. It's too early to say that. Yes, they performed well at Burnley and Tottenham, but this is what is expected of them. This is what I expect of a £50 million centre back, and he's doing fine. The right back, yes, is a good signing. And I said earlier, there's nothing more that I want them to be proven wrong. Tom?
Yeah, I think that they're at this stage, if the opinion is that they're doing or rather we can't make a full judgment yet, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that point of view. To say that you'll still want more time to digest the new signings after more than 3 games, there's nothing unreasonable about that whatsoever. You see how our form's turned so quickly. If you think we were speaking after the Manchester City game and how we were speaking about where we were after that 5-0 defeat and how we're speaking about Arsenal now, there's a space of 2-3 weeks between that. So if Tomiyasu can be this good now, in 2 to 3 games, we could be talking about very different. I pray that we aren't, but it shows that you can't make a judgment just yet on those guys fully. But I am so impressed by what I am seeing, and I say, like, I had my criticisms of the window, and it was tongue-in-cheek when I was saying that I wasn't criticising the signings. And I think that we raised a good point previously, and I remember, Moh, we were talking about this, that we could have spent the £150 million better, in our opinion, in some ways. Like, you could have added, say, 2 world-class players, instead added 3 important players that we've added this summer to the team. But the point is that I think I've continuously backed Edu and said that I look at Edu as someone whose job, he's doing a good job. I feel that he's doing a good job at the club. And we had a big debate, I remember, a few weeks back when he did the interview on Sky Sports and he did that thing on the club. We had a big debate about Edu. And one of the things that he said in that interview was that obviously he didn't want to put a target and he didn't want to say top 4, top 6. And I think there's rightly criticisms about that, to kind of, not put a target out there, especially in the public domain. But one of the things he did say that I think we got to give credit for is that he sat there and said, I'm looking forward to seeing what Arteta can do when everyone's available. I want to see this team play. I want to talk about this team when everyone is fit and ready, which at that point, we hadn't had Partey back. We hadn't had Gabriel and Ben White together. Tomiyasu had yet to play. Ødegaard had only played against Manchester City in the 5-0 drubbing. We hadn't yet seen what this squad was capable of. And in these last 3 games, especially in the last one against Spurs, we have begun to see what the capacity and the potential for this squad to play is. And now it is important that we stay, grounded. We don't lose our heads about this. and that we now take things game by game still, and we go to Brighton, which I saw a comment in the chat box saying that they felt that the away game at Brighton is going to be a tougher game than the home game against Spurs. And I think it's a solid point, because Brighton are having an excellent season under Graham Potter this year, and they've been brilliant so far. And we always do tend to struggle when we go to the Amex. I think our win last season there was our first in like 6 attempts. So that is a very difficult fixture. And we will now take this game by game. And as you say, Shaheen, as long as you join us at 8 p.m. every single Monday, you'll be able to see us talking about this and see how things develop. But fingers crossed, we'll be talking about it exponentially positively as we go through the season.
Okay. Shaheen, I wanted to say that, talking about needing more time to judge players or whatever, the one thing that I want to say is that when you truly get the hallmark of a player is when they make a mistake and how they respond to that. Yeah. And also whether they learn and stop making those mistakes. So Patrick Vieira, I can tell you one thing, right? When he first came in, so many people didn't rate him, kept on getting red cards, didn't learn from his mistakes. People got fed up of him. Eventually, his quality came through and he managed to put it together. Bergkamp, he was labelled a flop at first. Now my point
Henry
is...
as well.
Yeah, Henry as well. Yeah, it's very hard. Even Cazorla struggled in the English league at first, and then he just found a way of being able to get his brilliant game and expressing it. Now, look, with Tomiyasu, with Ramsdale, with all of these players, when they make a mistake, it's then up to us in terms of how we react. If 3 games in, people are almost saying like, oh no, how can you have any sort of like other opinion other than they're just amazing? We need to back them when they have a little hiccup. Even Bukayo Saka, I couldn't believe it. Even Bukayo Saka, when his form dipped just a little bit, I heard people questioning him. Smith Rowe, who for me was our best player in the first 3 games of the season, was man of the match yesterday. He's been probably our most consistent performer and best performer this season overall, even in that very difficult opening 3. I've heard the nickname Emil Kills Flow for him. People have been... I find it baffling. My point is, if we're not getting carried away now, we're also not going to be, well, me personally, I'm not going to be getting carried away when Tomiyasu makes his first mistake or a winger makes him look silly. So for me, that's what supporting is all about. Just kind of having that, a bit of calm about it and not getting too fanatical when they're good or when they're bad.
Yeah, speaking of supporting players and giving them encouragement, you've come up with a new nickname for Emil Smith Rowe, haven't you?
Yeah, man.
Do you care to share?
Well, he was Emil Smith Rowe, then he became the Smith. And after seeing him unlock that Tottenham defence, it's the Locksmith. I think that's a new nickname for him. It's brilliant. What's your problem?
Why are you shaking your head, Lev, man? It's actually quite good.
It's a good
What's
nickname.
wrong with that? Huh?
The Locksmith, okay.
What's wrong with that? It's good, man.
It's cool.
Yeah. Emil Smith Rowe liked it. So
there we go.
Oh, well, he's dropping the big names now. Did he actually like it on your account?
I'll take that offline.
All right.
Listen, if we get the likes up, it's on 84 right now. If we get the likes up to 100, Lev is going to do the Henry Aubameyang knee slide in his room.
Mate, I got wood flooring. He's gonna char the shit out of my knees. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, well, it serves you right. Wouldn't shake your head like that next time.
I really like the Locksmith. It's such a good name, honestly.
Good. Well done. So what's your thoughts on this whole thing, Lev?
What's my thoughts? I mean, look. Firstly, I mean, we're talking about Edu signings. We did say on the show quite a few times, we can't judge until we've seen these players over an amount of time. So, and unfortunately for us, we haven't had that opportunity to. Now that they're coming together, the signs are very, very positive. I don't think likes of Tomiyasu. I'm very confident in the likes of Tomiyasu, for example, because statistically, when we looked at his stats when we first signed him, he's obviously a very strong defender. He doesn't get beat very much on one-on-ones. He's very strong in the air because he's tall for a fullback, and he's quick, and he's just an overall good defender. So I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. You don't suddenly become a bad defender overnight. So I'm confident in his capabilities. The signs for the new signings are positive, but we need to see it consistently. I don't have any fancy names for any of these new signings, unfortunately. I do have a
Tommy
song.
Cafu.
I do have a song. Oi, why hasn't anyone thought about a song for Lukonga? Like do. You must have had.
No.
Sambi Lukonga. Oh, why does it always have to be the same song for every player?
Yeah, but listen,
I didn't come up with it.
It was so obvious it was going to be Santi Cazorla one for him.
And you always have super Tomiyasu or super something or super somebody else. Why don't we change it up a little bit?
Lev, you said something and you reminded me of a question I was going to ask Moh and Tom. I don't know if Tom was at the game or not, but Moh, what was the difference in the atmosphere at the stadium in this game? I know this is the North London derby and people will be naturally more up for it than other games, but what was the difference in the atmosphere than say Norwich game or previous home games you've been into, especially with the performance and the way Arsenal came out, and what was it different?
Well, let's not forget that this was the first home game this season that followed a victory, because the first home game of the season followed Brentford away defeat. So we weren't really happy with our results. We weren't really happy with our transfer activity. There was only really cause for a bit of frustration. And you compare that to this game, not only is it North London derby, which always raises the level anyway, but it followed a victory, and it also followed the completion of the transfer window, where we had not only got these players in, but these players had already shown that they had played well. So there was actually a lot more cause for, I wouldn't say real optimism, but a lot more cause for positivity. So I think those really came into it. And then, so that's sort of like before kickoff. But then the way Arsenal started just made all the difference. I think that's what it was. It could have easily turned if we went 1-0 down. There could have been a lot of frustrations that came out. But the players, and you know what, the fans were great. But I think they made sure the atmosphere was brilliant today. They really led by example and we followed.
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, it's a point for the fans as well that this is the sort of support that listen. The support Arsenal fans support the teams brilliantly always. You know, it's sometimes Emirates can go a little bit quiet, but that comes from the team and the team's performance. It's not like they ripping it up on the pitch and the fans are a bit quiet. So there's nothing to be said of the fans there. There's another positive things that I'm seeing with this new Arsenal, and I like this, is that we're not seeing the likes of Callum Chambers, Rob Holding, Kolasinac, these, you know, who's going to play a right back? Is it Cedric? Is it Chambers? They're coming in, they're making mistakes. We're not seeing that anymore. And now that results are reflecting on that as well, which is another credit to the manager that he's decided the back four and he's stick to this for the third game in a row now. And it's another sign that consistency will get you results. Guys, please hit the like button, subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, Moh, Tom, the Goonertalk. If you want to put your questions in the chat to Moh, Tom, myself, and Lev, we'll go through as many questions as we possibly can.
Shaheen, I'm loving the correlation of the fact that since your board has disappeared, our results have improved. That's a major factor.
Don't you shake your finger at me, young man.
No. This is pointing to the man who on my screen is above me. Good point. Very good point. And I'll tell you another good point that I saw. This is completely random, but I saw on Tom's Twitter. He made the point that, remember Mesut Ozil came up with a trust the process thing, and we spoke about that on the pod. Yeah. Nothing from him today. Lucas Podolski, you know, as you'd expect, comes out and says something about North London derby, as a lot of players do. Jack Wilshere did, you know, nothing from Mesut Ozil.
Silence is deafening.
Right, we've got a question. No.
Yes.
Move quite quick. Question: would it not be the team that was on form on paper? Do you think Mikel Arteta will go gung ho against Brighton, the form team? Lev.
Is he going to go gung ho? I think he'll, you know, barring Xhaka, I think he'll probably go with the same team.
They're losing at the moment, by the way. Palace are beating Brighton at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So I think we'll go gung ho. 100%. No, look. At the end of the day, I think there's only one way we can play. I think we'll go the same setup again. He might replace Xhaka with Lokonga, but I think it would be silly to change the team. I really do. I think you should just go the same way. And look, whichever way you want to look at it. Come on, it's Brighton. I know they're a decent side, but that particular team we had out the other day should beat Brighton, and there's more than enough in there. So I think we should just go for it.
Okay,
Tom, this
is for you. Who's the player of the month for you guys?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? I think between Tomiyasu and Ramsdale, there's two there that I think really are in with the big shout of picking it. Gabriel, you could argue as well, is in that crowd. I probably would give it to Tomiyasu just because of the difference that he's made to that right-hand side and the team. I think I probably would go Tomiyasu, which if you're a Spurs fan looking at that and you signed Emerson Royale, I'd drink your tears. It's
well, I was crying about Emerson Royale, apparently. So you could drink mine as well.
Your tears, yes. Love it.
Okay.
Remember, Lev, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you've been wrong. You can write an article about it if you like.
There's nothing wrong. Question for Mo. Do you think Arsenal can win a trophy this year?
Yes, Zoa. Yes, I do, man. Like, I've never ever had a season in my entire life where I feel like Arsenal. I feel like we don't have a chance. Of course, we have a chance, and obviously, it's not going to be the league. I don't think we've got a chance of winning the league, but I think League Cup, FA Cup, our track record in the FA Cup certainly shows that we can go and turn it on and pull something out of the bag. Fingers crossed, we do that.
Okay, Gooner Glenn, thank you for your support as always. One of the regulars. Lev, this is for you. Did anyone else really miss Pep with Xhaka playing there? Let's be honest.
So the Pepe conundrum winds me up because he could do things that a lot of our players can't. But in the final third, it was unquestionable that we were far more incisive without him the other day. So right now, I can't complain. But it's a good problem to have. Pepe needs to up his game to get back in that team and be better in the final third. So I'd rather have these problems than having nobody performing.
Okay. Tom?
Can I ask a question?
Go on.
To you guys. Does anyone else find it hard, when it comes to wide forwards, to remember specifically the games that they play and when they're better or on the right or the left and stuff? Like, for me, I just find it hard to remember. But I am coming to the conclusion that Xhaka on the right is the one.
I've always preferred players playing in their natural positions, in their natural. This cutting in all the time that Pepe's had to do on his left, it was too predictable for me. At least if you're gonna a good winger, for me, I was a winger. You get by. The one thing you should be doing is getting behind the fullback and getting across in, making that yard. And the best way to do that is not having to check back all the time. So, I'm not surprised that Saka's performing well on that right hand side.
Yeah, I agree. Tom, I think this might be suited for you best. If we sell Holding, Chambers, Elneny, Eddie, Cedric, Kolasinac, Murray, how
does the
homegrown work?
Yeah, how would the homegrown thing work?
Cedric's not homegrown, neither is Kolasinac.
Yeah, you're right.
Eddie, Chambers, Holding there.
Eddie is, Chambers is, Holding is. I don't know if Marie counts because he was at Manchester City. I'm not sure what age he was at Manchester City with Marie, but I don't think he does. Obviously, there's a quota. You can have 17 non-homegrown players in the squads. Emile Smith-Rowe has turned 21, so he's now counted in that homegrown quota. If you're under the age of 21, you don't count. William Saliba will count next season as a homegrown player, as will Gabriel Martinelli, because they would have both been at the club from between the ages of 18 and 21 for 3 years. So they'll also count. So I think that there will be natural replacement. Should, of course, we keep those players. And with the way that we're signing players like Ramsdale and White, I think there's kind of an emphasis on wanting to sign more British players from Mikel Arteta to have. And I think that comes down to a bit of communication and chemistry between the players as well. I wanted to have that kind of group, that British core, back again, but of a higher standard to what we saw with like Jenkinson and Kieran Gibbs and those guys. So I think that they're looking to do that more so, but I think we'll be fine. So I don't think you need to worry too much about it.
We'll try to go through as many questions, obviously, as we can, guys. Apologies if we don't go through all of them, but I'm going to end the show. We've been going for 1 hour. on this question, which I seem to have lost it.
Right, whilst you've lost that, yeah. Lev and Tom. Daniel
Here
Ek.
we go.
How do you guys feel about him? Obviously, seen in the stands yesterday, watching it with Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry has come out on Monday Night Football today and said that Daniel Ek is here for the long game. He's going to be patient.
I think there must be something in it. Henry? Let's be honest. Henry and Ek knew the cameras would pan onto them while they were there, right?
Yeah,
so
Henry wasn't exactly trying to be unseen in a retro Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, so I personally think there's something in it, and in an ideal world, they'd rather wrestle Arsenal away from the Cronkies, but who knows? Tom?
I don't see them wrestling Arsenal away from the Cronkies. I think that the KSC are very much here to stay. Not that I want them to be, but they're very much here to stay. I don't see them selling. Daniel Ek says he's an Arsenal fan, so it's not surprising to see him at a game. We know that Thierry Henry was very much on board with him in his proposed takeover bid as one of the key facets of convincing supporters to get on board with this idea of Daniel Ek's kind of bid to take over the club. Henry is a smart guy. He knows where. I mean, I don't remember the last time he wore. He's been at the Emirates a lot, and I don't remember seeing him wear a retro Arsenal shirt before at the ground. I might be wrong, but it doesn't stick in my mind. I feel like it would stick at my mind. So he knows that they know that the cameras are going to pan to them. They know that publicity is going to be there. Josh Kroenke was also in the ground, as to the best of my information as well. So that. If you want to say like he was there, Josh wasn't. That's not the case. Josh was there yesterday, but I don't think it changes anything. I think that I genuinely don't think Daniel Ek is rich enough to buy Arsenal, to be honest, especially not on his own. So sorry.
I don't know if I should answer this as well, because at the beginning Mo said I've got a question to Lev and Tom.
No, that's only because you were looking for a question. So
no, it's all right. It's all right. I know you think I don't know nothing about football, but it's all right. It's all right.
He was covering for you. He was helping you out.
Exactly.
No, it's all right.
This is that diva moment we were talking about.
No, it's all right.
He's already started again. He started.
I think maybe we should break for a sing-song.
I agree with Tom, actually. I don't see Cronkies selling. If Cronkies were to sell Arsenal, they would have sold end of last season when there was no European football. Things was in a mess. Fans protesting. If they were going to sell, they would have sold it then. Not now. There's a super chat coming in from
Can we save that? Can we save that super chat for the end? We could use that right at the end. That could be our sign off. Look at that.
Yeah, but it will only stay there for certain. So,
all right, do you want to do it now?
Do you want to go for it? Lev?
Tottenham game battered everywhere they go.
Tottenham game battered
everywhere they go.
You see what you done now, Sean?
It doesn't help as well.
It's so terrible as well.
What's your thoughts on this, Mo?
On what? Tottenham getting battered everywhere they go.
Thierry Henry.
I love Tottenham getting battered.
You brought it up, but what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm annoyed at Daniel Ek, to be honest with you. I really am annoyed at Daniel Ek, because what is Stan Kroenke's nickname? Silent Stan. And what has Daniel Ek done? I just think to myself that it's not good enough just partnering with these players and kind of as if we're just going to be that easy to please. Like we're so silly. It's like giving a kid an ice cream. You know, yes, there's a sparkly player that we love over there, but you're the man that's going to own the club. You're going to be able to dispose of these players anytime you wish. So really, we need to know, we need to get a feeling from you that you actually value us and that you're actually, you know, you care, you properly care. You're not just sort of like this passive person like Stan Kroenke is. And given that his name is Silent Stan, the one thing that you know you should do is just every now and then touch base with the fans where possible, show them a little bit of respect that they exist. And I'm not saying get on Twitter and start responding to us. I'm not saying yes to join on the Arsenal Lounge, but if you do want to do that, Daniel Ek, you are more than welcome.
Well, funny you should mention that because Shaheen's got something to announce after.
I would just like it if Daniel Ek, through the appropriate channels, every now and then, would just say to Arsenal fans that, you know, instead of just being seen, as you say, Lev, knowing that he'd be seen and then the conversation coming up again, just let us know. At least one statement. Look, I am here. I am still interested. I'm, still trying to acquire the club and take Arsenal forward. I would appreciate that as a fan.
Well, listen, Mo, you see, from a business point of view, right? Every time somebody comes out all mouth that, I'm going to buy Arsenal, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, it's normally talk. Because people who are serious about these things, and I've said this on a podcast before, they don't come out talking in the public. That you need to go through the proper channels. There are confidentiality forms, non-disclosure forms you sign. You're not allowed to open your mouth about none of these things, not on social medias, not on anywhere. You keep your mouth quiet. You put your money where your mouth is. You go, you bid, you negotiate quietly. You don't come out and you cheer up all the fans, bring Thierry Henry, bring Bergkamp, Vieira. And the fact that Vieira has actually gone and taken the Crystal Palace job is an indication to me that this was nothing.
But see, that's what annoys me. Daniel Ek should come out and clarify that, the fans may be wondering what's happened to the group of players that were with me on this, given that Patrick Vieira has now done this is what it means. For example, we're actually going to draft in this player, or we're going to rationalize that down to a team of X, excluding him. I just want some transparency. But in terms of non-disclosure agreements and that sort of stuff, here's where you are when you're working with non-disclosure agreements. Here's where we are with Thierry Henry going on flipping Monday Night Football, referring to it as a we. We are here to stay. They're not trying to be subtle about this. And if they were trying to be subtle and it was all background rumors, then I would not have that expectation of Daniel Ek. But where they're being so public about it, Thierry Henry is literally saying, we are doing this, we are doing that, and talking about it the day after he's pictured at a North London derby with him, then come on, you obviously can talk about it publicly. So, yeah, I would just like a bit more respect from him, for the fans.
Shaheen, how do we know that Vieira didn't take that Premier League job with Palace? Because he's vying for the job with Arsenal. But it feels like he needs to get some Premier League experience first. How do we know that?
I don't think he was drafted to come in as a manager, Patrick Vieira. I think he would have come in with Henry and Bergkamp to be behind the scenes kind of thing. I didn't think he would be coming as a manager. And also, what if it's also a risk if he goes to Palace and doesn't work out? Then what? Then he flops, and then what? He becomes an Arsenal manager?
No, he's not gonna become an Arsenal manager by flopping, is he? But then again, Arteta's got the job without Arteta got the job without even being a manager. So anything's possible.
Well, that's a downfall of the current regime. But if Daniel Ek is coming in and if he's serious about buying the club, I would suggest that you bring somebody that is a proper experienced manager, and then you have all these guys behind the scene doing their bit.
There is a problem though, Shaheen, if you think about it, because you got Vieira, who's a coach, you've got Thierry Henry, who is a coach, you got Dennis Bergkamp, who is a coach. Like, there is a worry for me, saying a hypothetical situation where they were able to take over the club. I don't think anyone could convince me that Thierry Henry, there isn't part of him that's thinking, well, if this is successful and this goes through, he's spoken of his dream to be Arsenal manager. There isn't. I believe there'll be part of him that's thinking this is one step closer to that dream being achieved, and that he will have his own ambitions to take over. To say that they take over, they appoint a coach to take over that position. At the back of Henry's mind, I wouldn't bet against him thinking if this doesn't go well and there's then a vacancy after we appoint someone, for me to then step in to that position and see how things go as kind of a bit of an audition. So I have reservations because I haven't rated Thierry Henry's forays into coaching that great. In fact, I mean, and a selfish plug, I'm interviewing for Football London João Trallo. Just saying, I'm interviewing João Trallo, who was Thierry Henry's assistant at Monaco on Wednesday. So there should be an article out there later in the week. So I'm going to ask him about how good he actually is as a coach and find out some stuff on that.
No, it's a valid point, because if you look at all of them, Dennis Bergkamp has had no managerial experience. But if you look at Patrick Vieira and Thierry Henry's managerial career, it's not really great. It's not one that you would think, oh, this guy. And I'm not sure if it's a risk for them to come in take the job, and then if things don't work out, they're risking the legacy that they have with the fans.
Yeah, very good.
We do this at the end of every show because we're going to do this again next Monday at 8 o'clock. So we look back on it. What's your prediction for the Brighton game, Lev?
We're going to win 2-0.
2-0.
2-0.
So another clean sheet.
Yeah, it's going to go 12 points now. Straight 12 now. No messing around.
All right. Mo?
Oh.
Come on, Mo.
We're going to revisit this next Monday, by the way, Lev, just so you know, yeah?
Yeah, well, you think I'm scared?
I think it'll be our first draw of the season. I just worry. I'm sorry, but I just worry that maybe the players kind of feel like there's been so much build up to this game. And I just worry that maybe that I won't be fully on it. I hope I'm wrong, but I just worry there could be a bit of a hangover, that sort of like job done mentality. So I think 1-1 or 2-2 in our first draw of the season, because Brighton are no months.
Tom?
I would have agreed with Mo if we had European football this week. But I feel like with the breaks that we're getting, we're going to be able to really recover like we weren't able to previously. And, you know, we've got a consistent 11 by Xhaka, but I feel like we can still play that same team that played against Burnley, maybe swap Saka and Pepe over, but I'm going to go for a 3-0 win at Brighton.
Ooh, that's a trump me, didn't you?
Optimistic, Tom? Are you sure?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to give you another chance to...
Okay, 4-0. So you got me. Go on.
You know, Tom, that's a bit. All right, fair enough. I actually agree with Mo. I think it will be a 1-1 draw.
God, another draw. Wait, some of the stuff in the well, I just say, by the way, I've loved some of the stuff in the chat. They were saying we were singing "It's like the end of the Muppet Show." That was one. That was one. And then this one, I want to ask a question on this one. AQ, if you're still in the chat, and I hope you don't mind me doing this, Shaheen, but this really intrigued me as to who was who, because he put on here, big up Pablo Escobar. So we know that's Shaheen, right?
That is so harsh.
Wait. Lewis Hamilton, I'm guessing that's aimed at me because I've had that before. Yeah. But then Peter Kay and Jason Bateman. Who out of Mo and Tom is Peter Kay and Jason Bateman? I really want to know, because I'm struggling with this one. Anyone help?
By the way, guys, this Pablo Escobar thing is just apparently I look a little bit like him. It's not my line of work, so I just wanted to, you know.
It's so good. It's so true.
It is good. Wait, do you know what? We had a good one for Lee Judges because he did Crystal Maze. Do you remember that one?
AQ. He's explained it.
What? Who's who then? What's he saying?
I'm Jason Bateman, but not why you'd think.
Oh, right.
I don't see it. Oh, here we go.
Jason Bateman plays the accountant. There you go. See, that makes sense now that you've explained. Because the others were based on looks, I'm guessing. So then,
Tom is Peter Kay.
Great. Peter Kay.
I know I need to get back to the gym, but jeez, come on.
Do you know what? There's another comment that I want up from Samuel Olu Williams, because I did say earlier on that if you think we're talking crap, get onto us. We don't mind. We're not fast enough to take it. No, not that one. At 11 minutes past 9, he said, Mo overthinks things and wants everything to be done his way. This is football. Let it roll and don't hold on to it, man. Do any of you know why?
Let it go, man. What's the matter with you?
But I'm just trying to put 2 together and understand what I said for it. And then he said, get a grip, Mo. What did I say for him to... Is this about my prediction that I think we might not win against Brighton? I don't understand what link that has to me wanting everything to be done my way. I mean, I'd love it if everything was done my way. That'd be great, but I'm confused.
Well, everything we do. I mean, we didn't even want the show on Mo's channel today, but it had to be his way. He made us do it. We wanted to. He just insisted. So I agree with you, mate, all the way, Samuel.
Well, on that lovely note, we've been going about for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you're watching this on Mo's channel, thank you. Please subscribe to Arsenal Lounge. Well, we do this thing on every Mondays at 8 o'clock. Tom obviously has got a channel, the Goonertalk TV. Every Monday at 8, us four will discuss the previous fixtures, all the topics, all the talking points that are Arsenal related. Tom obviously is a journalist as well that gives us a different point of view of how things are. He does his interviews. Next week he's going to tell us about his interview that he's going to do this Wednesday with Thierry Henry's old assistant. Moh obviously does his after show reaction on his channel. So after the game, if you want to hear Moh's thoughts, go on his channel. Lev does a show on the Arsenal Lounge where you can actually come on the channel and share your thoughts.
Unless you're a Spurs fan, then you bottle it after the game.
Yeah. So, guys, please hit the like button, subscribe, give us your feedbacks to your thoughts in the comments if you're watching this show afterwards. Tell us your thoughts on if we turned the corner, on Xhaka starting a game, and what's this whole Leno Ramsdale situation. So, Tom, any final words?
No, always a pleasure to join you boys, especially after thrashing those lot down the roads. And I look forward to next week.
Lovely. Moh?
An absolute massive moment, a seminal moment in Mikel Arteta's Arsenal career and potentially even Nuno's Tottenham career. And I'm really glad he came out of it in the right way. We may all have to be proved wrong and backpedal on Mikel Arteta. And I know all four of us will be more than happy to do that.
Spot on. And last but not least, my fellow co-founder of the Arsenal Lounge.
Man, I'm just happy. I'm starting to enjoy doing some shows on the back of wins because it seemed like it was taking forever and we were in this dark, gloomy place. And suddenly we're starting to have a bit more enjoyment. And there's nothing better than doing this on the back of a North London derby victory. So I'm really chuffed. I'm happy. Listen, the guys in the chat, I love the support that we have on here. I'm looking forward to seeing Tom's stand up as Peter Kay. That's going to be great. But also, very quickly, what I would like, why don't we do some sort of forfeits for our predictions? Surely there's got to be something we can do.
Oh, hold on.
Why don't you guys write it on the comments?
What? Fair.
Well, no.
We can have a little think.
If anyone could think of any forfeits for us four, based on our predictions, whatever, maybe we could do it monthly or whatever, based on, I don't know, work it out. But that'll be quite interesting.
Sounds good. And people hit the like button. I can't believe how stingy people are being today. There's still almost 200 people in the chat. Come on, every single one. While Shaheen gives us his final sentence, because we've all done ours, please listen to him. Distract yourselves. Go and smash that like button, please.
And my final words are thank you very much for watching us. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channels, Arsenal Lounge, Goonertalk TV, Moh Haider. And hopefully this will give the manager, the players, and we forgot to mention the Arsenal ladies as well, because they thrashed Man City as well. So it was a good day for Arsenal as a football club. So hopefully it will give everybody a lift, whether it's ladies team or the gents team, to kick on and build on from this, and obviously go to Brighton, get a result, and hopefully go on a 10-game winning run, or at least until we play Liverpool away. So again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next week, Monday at 8 o'clock. Good night.
Peace out.